Hey everyone, it's Angela with Create Your Future. Thanks for being here, guys. So in the video today, I'm going to do something kind of fun. I want to address some topics that come up most frequently when I am coaching people, things that people most often have questions about. And what I want to do is just show you again and again and again how everything really comes back to you. It's all you. It's all your internal stories. It's all your internal belief system, because I really want you to feel empowered and in charge and able to manifest anything that you want to. All right. So that is the point of my video. The thing I'm going to start with is free will, because this comes up all the time. People want to know, who has free will in my reality? And the answer to that question is you and only you. All right. This is how you are manifesting your life. It is all coming from your perception. The entire world, everything and everyone in your reality is always reflecting something within you. All right. Another question that people have is, well, if I want to manifest a different version of my SP, am I somehow violating their free will? They never had free will to begin with, okay? Even that version of them that was showing up maybe disrespectful or not wanting to commit, or, however, that negative version, it was not them showing up in any other way other than they were reflecting you. They were already reflecting the story within, right? They were already mirroring back your internal story. Somehow within, you believe that you weren't worthy of the relationship, or worthy of the respect, or worthy of the commitment, whatever. But it was always coming from within you, always. So now that, we have stepped into law of assumption and you're aware of this story that you're creating within you, and you decide to change it, it doesn't mean that you're violating their free will. It just means that you're now creating a more favorable story. They were only reflecting the story that was within you to begin with, right? They were just showing you something about your internal story. So now you're just changing the story. That's it. That people are always reflecting you. Nobody has free will, and we are never violating anyone's free will. We are simply choosing the stories for our reality, our quantum bubble, our 3D experience that we prefer. Everyone has their own quantum bubble, you could say. Everyone has their own reality. We all have been given free will in our reality to experience life, to experience relationships based on what we want to live. So you are the only one with free will, okay? No one ever has had free will in your reality, and you are never violating someone's free will when you choose a different story, a better story, a story that supports your desire, that supports the outcomes that you prefer. People are always going to mirror back what you are believing, focusing on, and being aware of internally. It's always been happening. You can't turn it on or off. It's always happening. So why not believe the story that supports you? Believe the story that puts you on the pedestal. Believe the story that is in alignment with the outcomes that you prefer. Believe the story that you want. It's always going to come from within you. People are always going to reflect back whatever story you're putting attention on. And it's always been happening. I just really want you to understand that. It's always been happening. You are never violating somebody's right or free will when you change the story, because the story has always come from within you. So who has free will in your reality? Only you. It's always been this way. Okay, you are always the one creating all of your experiences, because everything is just reflecting out of the story that you hold within. You have free will and nobody else. All right. Okay. Another thing that is of great interest to a lot of people is things like psychics, fortune tellers, tarot card readers, anything like that. When you're looking externally for an answer outside of you, is that real? Is it truthful? And so the answer to that is because everyone is you pushed out. Your thoughts are always overheard. You are transmitting everything that is internal outward. The people that are telling your fortune or reading tarot cards are going to pick up on your internal story. All right. And they are going to mirror that back to you. So, for example, if you have had a fight or an argument with your SP and you're thinking to yourself, we're probably going to break up now. I hope they don't find somebody else. I hope this isn't, the end of the relationship. And you go to a fortune teller and they're going to pick up on that story and say, oh, I see that there's been, something bad happened in your relationship. I foresee that there's a breakup. I foresee a third party. What they are doing is simply picking up on that internal state. You're thinking about, what if we break up? What if they find somebody else? They are just picking up on that story that's already inside of you. They are mirroring back your internal story. But once again, everything is within you. So you can listen to what you're being told, or you can take your power back and you can remind yourself that I am the one that's in charge of my future experience, not the fortune teller, not the psychic. They may be picking up on your story, your fear, but you do not have to give them your power. You do not have to believe in that. You can believe in what you prefer. All right? Because they are not deciding what your future is. You are. Okay, that is the end of the story. You decide, not the psychic, not the fortune teller, not a Ouija board, none of that stuff. Yes, they can pick up on your internal story. Yes, they can pick up on what you're thinking about, because everyone is you pushed out, right? That is the basis of manifesting. So they're picking up on those things, but you decide where you go from here, right? You decide. I decide that we're going to make up. I decide that my partner's going to tell me they're sorry. I'm deciding that this brings us closer than we've ever been before. You decide what's going to happen next in the story. You do not have to be in agreement with what they're telling you. And just remember that they are simply reflecting back that internal story that you've been focused on. They are simply reflecting back where you've been putting your attention. That's why they're telling you, oh, there's been a fight. I see that you've had trouble. I foresee there's going to be a breakup. They're simply reflecting back everything that you are focused on with it. But don't give your power away. They're not telling you what's going to happen. They're just mirroring back an internal story, a fear, a worry, and you can create the story that you want and focus on that and have a completely different outcome than what they've been telling you. All right. So yes, psychics and tarot card readers can pick up on your state because everyone is you pushed out, that they cannot tell you what's going to happen unless you believe in that and you put your attention on that. And if it does manifest, it's not because they were right, because they could see the future. It's because you put your attention on what you heard, you focused on that, you put your awareness there, therefore it came from within you. So instead of doing that, put your attention on the thing that you really prefer. Okay, guys? Because you have all the power. You're the one that decides. No one outside of you can decide. You put your attention on the thing that you prefer. All right? If you believe what someone else is telling you, that's giving up your power. That's kind of surrendering your right to decide what you prefer. Don't do that. All right. One other thing that I want to talk about, and that is what people might call generational curses, generational patterns. I've had clients come to me talking about, relationships. I've had people say, well, my grandparents divorced, my parents divorced, and it's probably going to happen to me. There's just a pattern of brokenness in the home in our family line, or a generational pattern of poverty. Sometimes we see that. And, sometimes it's also dealing with maybe health issues. People will say, there's like heart disease in my family. People have struggled with heart problems, and It's now showing up in my family. And that was something that I had to deal with. There were patterns of heart disease in my grandparents and my dad. And so, but it's not in me because I don't choose to believe in that. But anyway, diseases and illnesses sometimes show up as curses, or we'll say a generational curse in families. So guys, all of that again comes from what someone believes. So as children, when we hear what our caregivers believe in, right? When we observe and are a part of that environment that maybe says money is hard to come by, money is really hard to make, making it a living, earning income is really difficult, that begins to impress and soak into the subconscious. We might hear our parents saying, our family line has always struggled with this disease or that disease or heart disease. And so that begins to soak in and we begin to believe that's probably going to happen to me. The same thing about relationships. We might see a lot of brokenness and unhappiness in relationships. So again, we incorporate that into our belief system, into our subconscious. And so we think that relationships are difficult and hard, right? So it's how we are formed in those early years, and our subconscious begins to soak it up. It doesn't always have to happen in the early years, but it most easily happens because when you're very young, you're just like a sponge. Your subconscious is wide open. And so we soak up a lot of that information in our subconscious when we're very little. Sometimes it can just happen maybe from like a very traumatic experience. Maybe you have a very traumatic experience in a dating relationship that really soaks into the subconscious. And after that one experience that was maybe traumatic or dramatic, you now have just this feeling that relationships are really hard. But most of the time it comes from these generational patterns in the way we're raised and the environment that we grow up in. So the good news is, though, when you become aware of law of assumption and you begin to realize that all of this is coming from within me, you can change those stories. You can change those stories about your health. You can change those stories about finances. You can change those stories about relationships. You are not bound to any pattern that you've seen in your family, in your past. You're not bound to poverty. You're not bound to that heart problem or that particular illness. You're not bound to having this play out in your family line. You can change that by changing your internal story. And you do that through repetition, focus, awareness, however you choose to do that. But you do not have to repeat those things that you've seen in your family line. A lot of people feel like they're helpless or a victim to those family patterns, family curses, whatever you call it, but you absolutely are not. It has come from an impression upon the subconscious, which is passed down because we are subjected to it again and again and again. But you are the only opera power. You can choose to break that pattern. You can tell yourself, I am going to live a really healthy life. From here on out, I have a very healthy body, and I believe that my children and my grandchildren are free of any health conditions that we've seen in the past. You can decide that, you're going to have a happy relationship. You're going to have a happy marriage, that you're going to have a family life that is happy and stays together, regardless if your grandparents and your parents were divorced. You can change that and make it new for yourself by creating a new story about that. So you are in charge. You're not a victim to what happened to your parents. You're not a victim to what happened to your grandparents. Your body doesn't have to follow the same story. Your finances do not have to follow the same story. It comes down to you. So all of these things, whether we're talking about, someone else having a certain mindset around a subject, or if it's a family pattern, or if it is a psychic telling you something, all of these things are just a reflection of something that's within you, and you can decide what you want to believe in. You trump everything. You trump what the psychic says. You trump what your parents have told you, or what you have seen growing up, or what you have seen in the history of your family. You trump what anyone else says that they are deciding is going to be right for you, right for your relationship, right for you and your person. You trump everything by what you choose to put attention on and believe in. Okay. You are the only operative power. That's how it always has been. That's how it's always going to continue to be. But as you step into your power and exercise your power, you can change the stories within you and make them whatever you want. Okay. You're never violating anyone's free will. A psychic doesn't have authority over your life. They cannot predict your future. You are not a victim to a generational curse in the family pattern. You can change all of that by your story that you change with them. So guys, I hope that really empowers you. I hope that answers some questions. I hope you have some breakthrough aha moments with this information that I've shared. And I hope you feel very, very empowered and strengthened, and you know that everything is within you. Okay. Guys, I want to also remind you about the free course that we're giving away, How to Find Your Blocks to Manifest Anything. If you're interested in that, you can look down below in our description box. And also my course is available, Awaken to I Am. It's all about understanding you are the I Am. It's all about what we've just been talking about. Everything comes from within you, and it's designed to help you be empowered to appropriate your power and step into that power state. And lastly, if you want to work with me on one-on-one, have me coach you, sign up for some coaching, look down below for those links. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your comments, all of the feedback. So I appreciate you being here and watching this video today. All right, bye, guys.